I had this moment this morning. I was just drowning in my inbox.
Hmm. The usual.
The usual. And I was thinking, we've been promised AI assistance for, what, 3 or 4 years now? Ever since that first GPT moment really, hit.
Oh, at least. It feels like every big tech company's been dangling that carrot.
Right. But my reality is it's still me sitting there manually highlighting a date in an email, copying it, opening my calendar app, pasting it,
Realizing the time zone's wrong.
realizing the time zone's wrong, going back. It feels like I'm doing the digital equivalent of washing dishes by hand while this brand new shiny dishwasher just sits there unplugged.
That's a perfect analogy. We have the intelligence, right? The brain is there with these massive language models, but we haven't really given them hands.
No.
We treat them like oracles in a box. You ask a question, you get an answer, and then the whole interaction it dies.
Exactly. And that brings us to today's deep dive. We are looking at OpenClaw. And if you've been anywhere near GitHub or tech Twitter or even like the nerdy corners of TikTok in early 2026, you've seen the lobster emojis, you've seen the hype.
Oh, it's impossible to miss. And honestly, the lobster memes are funny, and we'll get to why a crustacean is basically running the internet in a minute.
We have to.
But they're almost distracting from the much, much bigger story here. We are not just talking about another chatbot.
No.
We're talking about a fundamental shift in how software is built, how it runs, and arguably who or what is actually doing the work.
So for this one, we've pulled together a massive stack. We've got the technical docs from the WePo itself. We have exclusive interview transcripts with the creator, Peter Steinberger.
And we have some pretty alarming security reports from Wired.
Yeah. So our mission today is to figure out if this agentic revolution is, actually ready to run your life, or if giving a piece of code access to your bank account is just a terrible, terrible idea.
Spoiler alert. It might actually be both.
Okay, so let's start with the architecture, but maybe not the code itself. I want to start with the philosophy behind the code.
The mindset.
Yeah, because when I read Steinberger's interview, I actually laughed out loud. He admits completely openly that he shipped code without reading it.
Which sounds, insane for a senior developer, right? Peter Steinberger's not a rookie. He founded PSPDF Kit. He knows engineering rigor.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows best practices. But for this, he used tools like Claude projects to essentially bootstrap the entire agent.
But hang on. As a user, if I hear the developer didn't read the code, my immediate reaction is just
a security nightmare?
Total security nightmare. I'm thinking bugs, vulnerabilities.
And it's a valid fear, but you have to think about it a different way. He wasn't writing the music note for note. He was conducting the orchestra. He was treating the AI like a junior developer. He'd say, I need a module that handles WhatsApp connections, and the AI would write it. He'd run it, see an error, and just paste the error back to the AI and say, fix this.
So it's recursive. The AI is building the AI.
Precisely. And that's the key insight for anyone listening who codes or even manages people who code.
Yeah.
We are moving from syntax-based programming to intent-based programming.
Right.
OpenClaw is just proof that an AI can build its own tools if you give it the right prompts. It changes the role of the human from builder to architect, or maybe reviewer.
Which explains the speed, right? This thing just seemed to appear out of thin air.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Went from a weekend project to this massive open source phenomenon in weeks, because he wasn't bogged down in, missing semicolons. He was operating at the level of logic.
Speaking of the project,
Right.
We have to address the crustacean in the room.
The lobster, yes.
Ideally, if you're launching a piece of world-changing software, you don't necessarily want it associated with a bottom feeder. But here we are.
It was a classic case of accidental branding. You have to remember, this started as a simple relay. He just wanted to use Claude the AI model from Anthropic through his WhatsApp.
Okay.
So he named it ClaudeBot. A pun on Claude and Claw.
Which is clever. I like that.
A little too clever, apparently. Anthropic's legal team was not amused. They flagged the trademark almost immediately.
That's fair. You can't just borrow a billion-dollar brand name.
Right. So he has to pivot. He renames it Moltbot.
Moltbot.
Yeah, the metaphor being that the software, like a lobster, it sheds its shell to grow.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving.
That's a little intellectual, maybe a bit visceral for some people.
The community thought so, too.
Yeah.
They actually held a vote to settle on the final name. OpenClaw won. But by then, the lobster imagery had just completely stuck.
So that's it.
That's why if you look at their Discord or the GitHub issues, it's just a sea of red lobster emojis. It turned a software tool into, like, a cult movement.
And that community part is huge, which we'll get to. But before we get lost in the memes, I want to pause and make sure we define what this actually is.
Good idea.
Because to my mom, ChatGPT is an agent. How is OpenClaw different from me just keeping a tab open with Gemini and typing to it?
It comes down to two things: initiative and persistence. A standard LLM, the website you type into, is reactive. It's a genius sitting in a dark room waiting for the phone to ring.
And if you don't call, it does nothing.
It does nothing. It effectively ceases to exist between your prompts. It doesn't know time is passing. It's just frozen until you poke it.
Right.
OpenClaw is totally different. It's a runtime environment. Think of it like a nervous system that connects that genius brain to the real world. It runs on your machine locally. It has a clock. It has a memory.
It creates a continuous existence for the AI.
Exactly. And Steinberger breaks this down into two concepts I thought were really compelling: the soul and the heartbeat.
The soul. So is that just a really fancy prompt?
It is a sophisticated prompt, yes, but it's a markdown file, just a plain text document that defines who the bot is. You tell it, you are my sarcastic executive assistant, you know I hate morning meetings, you know my wife's birthday.
And because it's on my hard drive, it doesn't just forget that when I close the browser window.
Correct. That persistence is key, but the heartbeat is the real game changer.
Just scheduler.
It's a scheduler. It wakes the agent up on its own. Even if you're fast asleep, the heartbeat is checking. Is there a task due? Is it 7 a.m.? Do I need to run the morning briefing?
That's the hands part you're talking about.
Yes. It turns the AI from a tool you have to pick up into a worker that sits beside you. And because it's local first.
Meaning it runs on my laptop or
a VPS or a tiny Raspberry Pi in your closet. Because of that, it has access to your actual files. It can read your file system.
Which is great for utility, but terrifying for security. We'll get there.
We will.
The numbers on this are, honestly, they're staggering. I was looking at the repo stats. We're talking 150,000 to 200,000 GitHub stars in a few weeks. For context, it took projects like React or Vue. I mean, these are massive pillars of the web that power Facebook and Netflix. It took them years to hit those milestones.
It's completely vertical growth. It's unprecedented. And it's all driven by something called ClawHub.
Which, I have to say, sounds like a very dubious website from the early 2000s.
It does sound a bit sketchy.
Yeah.
But it's actually just a directory of skills.
Okay.
Because the agent is extensible, you don't have to wait for Steinberger to add a feature. You can just write a small JavaScript function, drop it in, and now your agent can do something new.
Give me an example. What's the community actually building?
Oh, everything from the mundane to the super complex. There's a skill for controlling your Philips Hue lights. So you can just say, I'm going to sleep, and it turns off the house.
That's cool.
But there are also skills for managing GitHub issues or interfacing with Linear for project management.
So instead of me waiting for Apple to update Siri to maybe play nice with my specific software, some guy in Nebraska just writes the script, uploads it to ClawHub, and boom, I have it.
Exactly. It democratizes the entire feature set.
Yeah.
And this lines up with all the computer science research we're seeing on tool use.
Right.
The academic papers from late 25, early 26, they're all clear. When you give an LLM a calculator, it gets better at math. Give it a web browser, it gets better at facts. OpenClaw is basically a giant Swiss Army knife that lets you slot in whatever tool you need.
It's empowering, but it also feels chaotic.
It is the definition of chaotic good. Or maybe chaotic neutral.
Well, let's talk about the chaotic part. Because as much as I love the idea of a lobster butler handling my life, I read that Wired article and it sent a genuine shiver down my spine.
Oh, yeah.
The headline was something like, I loved it until it tried to scam me.
It is a massive cautionary tale. The journalist set it up, gave it access to his email and his terminal.
Which is basically giving it the keys to the kingdom.
The keys to everything. And he let it loose to negotiate a refund, standard admin stuff.
And did it work?
It worked too well. It started hallucinating details. It got into this negotiation loop and was about to agree to financial terms the user never authorized.
Oh, no.
It was confident, it was polite, and it was completely, totally wrong.
See, this is the LLM problem we all know about. If ChatGPT hallucinates the date of the French Revolution, I get a bad grade on a paper. Big deal.
Right.
But if OpenClaw hallucinates a command line instruction...
It could wipe your hard drive. Or wire money. Or send a resignation email to your boss because it misunderstood a joke you put in the soul file.
So how does Steinberger defend this? It feels like he's handing people a loaded gun and calling it a water pistol.
He's actually very transparent about the risk.
Yeah.
He pushes this concept of human in the loop.
Meaning?
The idea is that for any high-stakes action, the agent drafts the action, but you have to press the final button. It finds the flight, but you click book. It writes the email, but you click send.
Doesn't that defeat the purpose a little bit? If I have to babysit the bot, I'm just reviewing work instead of doing it.
That is the tension.
Yeah.
It's utility versus security.
Yeah.
If you lock it down too much, it's useless. If you open it up completely, it's dangerous.
Right.
Steinberger also talks about sandboxing, running the bot in a container. So if it does decide to, delete the universe, it only deletes the simulation.
I feel like sandboxing should be step one, not a recommendation.
You would think so, but the allure of these tools is that friction-free integration. People just want it to work. We are in the Wild West phase where people are prioritizing magic over safety.
Despite the risks, Peter apparently uses this thing as his second brain. I want to walk through what that actually looks like. Not the code, but the experience.
It's seamless. That's the word for it.
So let's say you want to book dinner. In the old world, our world now, that's what, 3 apps?
At least. You open Yelp to find a place, your calendar to check if you're free, then OpenTable to book.
And you text your spouse to confirm, right?
With OpenClaw, you open Telegram, you text your agent, book a table at the Italian place I like for 7 p.m. That's it. One message.
And in the background, the heartbeat kicks in.
Yep. The agent parses that text. It hits its memory database. What is the Italian place? It finds the entry for Luigi's. Then it hits the calendar tool. Is 7 p.m. free? Yes. When it hits the browser tool, it actually goes to the restaurant's website and fills out the form.
And then
it just texts you back. Table booked for 7, invite sent to your wife.
Wow. It's like texting a hyper-competent intern who lives in your pocket and never asks for a raise.
And never sleeps.
Yeah.
That's the promise. That is why 200,000 people start that repository. We are all desperate for that level of help.
Yeah.
We want software to actually do things for us, not just display information for us to do things with.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've got this chaotic open source experiment led by a guy who used AI to build it. It's represented by a lobster, and it runs on a tiny computer in your closet.
I think OpenClaw is the bridge. We're crossing from the era of reactive chatbots to proactive autonomous agents. And it proves you don't necessarily need big tech to have a powerful assistant.
That's a huge point. This isn't some subscription service you pay $20 a month for. It's code that you own.
Exactly. It's messy, for sure. It requires some technical know-how right now, but it's democratizing the most powerful technology of our time.
So if you're technical, it sounds like you should grab a Raspberry Pi and just start playing with this today.
Absolutely. Join the Discord, check out the skills on ClawHub. But even if you aren't technical, you should be paying attention.
Why?
Because this is a preview. This is exactly what Apple and Google and Meta are scrambling to build and sell you next year. OpenClaw is just giving us a sneak peek at the future for free.
So we're entering this weird era. Software that writes itself, agents that act for us while we sleep, and a lobster is the mascot for the whole revolution.
It is truly the Wild West of AI.
But here's the thought I want to leave everyone with, and it's been nagging at me. We talked about the agent messing up, agreeing to a bad contract, or deleting files. In the legal world, we have agency law for humans. If my employee messes up, I'm on the hook.
Right. Vicarious liability.
But what happens when the employee is code that you didn't write, that the developer didn't even read, and that made a decision based on a probabilistic roll of the dice? If your autonomous lobster agent accidentally agrees to a binding contract or insults your bots in an email trying to be efficient, who's responsible? Is it the AI? The developer who admitted he didn't check the syntax? Or is it you for just turning it on?
That is a question the courts have not answered yet, but I have a feeling they are going to see a case like that much sooner than they think.
On that cheerful note, check your terminal logs and maybe keep your agent in a sandbox for now. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.